I just think that it's a seed principle. You sow a seed in the ground. We're in spring right now. You plant a seed in the ground. It draws from the nutrients in the earth. It draws from the sunlight. It draws from the water. But everything about, the real beauty of that seed is what's inside of it. That's really, it's drawing from things on the outside, but really it's trying to reveal what's on the inside. And so, we get around people and most importantly, surrender to God. It can show us what's in us. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to know your thoughts if you think there's a space where we can be almost too connected, or we can be reaching too much into maybe some voices out there. Social media is great because it gives everybody a voice, but that's also the double-edged sword, is that it gives everybody a voice. So what would you say to the person? How should we look for those connections and those voices, those pieces of content that we pull from to help build us up in a healthy way?
Well, first of all, we have too many voices. I know I'm not saying that people don't need to be putting content out there, but you don't need to be reaching from all the content. You know what I mean? You can have too many voices. And so I think it's really important to go back to what I said a minute ago, and to make the foundation of all things your primary voice being His, and then secondary to that, the Bible says there's wisdom in a multitude of counsel, right? Wise counsel. Well, in order for you and I to counsel, we have to be in relationship. We have to be in proximity to one another. I can't listen to you on YouTube or you listen to me on YouTube and get counsel. You can get teaching, or preaching or exhortation, but you can't get counsel. And so I think that really all the voices that are available through social media and YouTube ought to become, way down the line, to the primary voice being Him and pursuing that, and then the wise counsel He places in your proximity. And now you can't have too many of that either. You've got to have, they've got to be, I'll say this, and it doesn't get said a lot. Your life is connected to a voice, to a shepherd. And yes, there are some under shepherds involved with that, but your life is connected to a shepherd, to a father that opens doors. And so God has got that person or those few people in your life. He has them prepared already. And I think it's a matter of finding that. Now finding that, I think you begin to look at, you have to evaluate their life. Is their life worth following? Are they living what they preach? Are they living, is the message, are they the message? Not are they just teaching something, but are they the message? Is their life, is their life producing what I want to become? What I want to draw from and what I want to become. And so I think that's where your initial voices begin. And then I think you can evaluate some voices out there, not too many. Far too many are people looking for a word and not to be shaped. And you can get a word and make you happy, but somebody needs to have the rock to circumcise you. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody needs to be able to cut the skin. And so somebody's got to have that kind of access in your life, because that's where real development is going to come from. And I think it's, everything that God created in the earth, he spoke to. But man, He reached down in the dirt of the ground and He touched it, right? it had proximity. It had close proximity. He touched it and he shaked it with his hands and in close proximity, where everything else was just a voice, a spoken word. And I think we have to understand then that we are shaped by proximity. We're not shaped just by, we're not going to be shaped to the depth of who we are just by a voice, or we can be wrongly shaped because we're not connected with somebody close enough that actually can see who we are in all walks of life, and we can see who they are up close. And so, I think that it's really important to find your voices in proximity, and then you can maybe resource podcasts or YouTubes or whatever else for tidbits, for mentoring, and it's not, in a sense, like if you want to learn some positive things about what leadership's about, or how to be a good youth pastor, or you know what I'm saying, learn some skills or some traits from some other people. But even at that, you got to have the root system to know, well, I can chew on that and swallow it, and then I got to spit that out. You know what I mean? And understand how to really process the voices that you are drawing from that aren't close in proximity. But I think even those should be minimal. Yeah. I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, that's great. How would you recommend for a person to approach maybe one of those figures in their life where they want a deeper relationship, they want to be in closer proximity? So maybe a practical example, let's say somebody in our church wants to have a closer relationship with you in that sort of discipleship manner. What recommendation would you give to that person? What's the best way we can approach?
Just a general approach. I think it's just straight up. It's just like, listen, man, I want to grow. I mean, I want to become. I'm hungry to become. I'm hungry to be what God called me to be. I mean, that right there, at least for me, I don't know how it is for anybody else, but at least for me, that lights my fire for somebody who wants to surrender to God, submit, pursue Him, and discover who God built them to be, and they're committed to that. Now, that's the better approach for me. Is not necessarily what you say, because I don't measure things just on somebody coming up and saying one time, I want to, get close to you or know you or learn, from you. That really doesn't mean a lot to me. If I'm honest with you, the first time you come to me probably doesn't mean a whole lot until I see that there's a hunger from that. Are you going to chase that? Are you going to make that intentionality to make those appointments, or to ask those questions, or to come up close and let's just, whatever, walk with me wherever I'm going? I don't know. I mean, I just, there's something to me about a drive and a hunger. And I think maybe it's wrong, but I think I know we're not supposed to compare, but I think I measure people to some degree off of myself. And I remember the way I did it, and I don't know if it's wrong or right, but I know I threw myself at wanting, when I said yes to my call, yes to Jesus, yes to my call, which were essentially at the same time. I just threw myself at it. Like, you couldn't keep me away. You know what I mean? You couldn't keep me away from the church. You couldn't keep me away from serving, from taking an opportunity. If somebody wanted to, if they needed somebody to do this, it's like, okay, I'll do it. If, whatever. I mean, it was just, I'm throwing myself at it. And hungry. I mean, it's just, the Bible says that those that thirst and hunger after righteousness shall be filled. Thirsty and hungry means something. It just means something in the kingdom. And so it means something to me. And so, by all means, come up and go walk to them, say hello, give them a phone call. I promise you're going to bless their life if you've seen their life valuable enough to say, I want to be connected to you and I want to draw from you. That's going to bless them. They would be a fool to say, to reject that, unless they don't have a life worth following, and they know that. And then they're like, I don't know what to do with you, because I might not be that guy, but otherwise it's going to bless their life. But for me, it's not even about that conversation. It's what happens from it. Yeah.
Yeah. if we flip it around and say, okay, we know that we're getting a lot poured in, what are some ways we can turn around and give back to those figures in our life? Like, what's the best way we can support them?
I think, both in the church, your discipling relationships should be within the body, within the church. And I think you've got to connect. You've got to find ways to connect with people, to step outside of yourself to connect. But then outside of the church, we've got to stir up some type of an evangelistic heart, to recognize that God has already put us in the context of lives every day, that we're working beside them on the same assembly line, whatever, going to the same job site, whatever it may be, day after day, that we're becoming comfortable with these people. We know them, to a degree. It's not like they're a stranger at Walmart, and God's given you an entrance. I mean, it's almost like he's handing you an entrance. And I think that you have to understand that from the moment you say yes to Jesus, and if you're really hungry and you start chasing that, you are automatically a candidate to reach out and pull somebody with you. Like, even if you just said yes to Jesus last week and you're submitted to that, go find somebody who hasn't said yes to Jesus yet and pull them with you. Because your life, and your life from that moment, your surrender from that moment is worth sharing, and honestly, maybe even easier to relate to somebody at that point, because you're not 7 years removed from that moment that you surrendered, and an immature Christian. But we can actually relate a little bit now. And I just think you look for those opportunities within the church to disciple, to grow, to strengthen one another, to be an encouragement. Uh, you don't always have to preach at people, but just being an encouragement, being a kind of a sounding board that you can connect with people, and you can reason through scripture together, or things in life together. And but then also those outside of the church, I think you have to be confident enough that, and the enemy wants to play the game that, oh no, you're just new to this. You don't have nothing to say and nothing to give and nothing to do. That's a lie. Because honestly, in that moment, the fire is burning hot, and he understands how ripe you are to be able to reach people, with that zeal. Like, hey man, last week I was doped up, but man, I said yes to Jesus, and that's not a life I'm going back to no more. And people are like, what? Well, I mean, I don't want to be jacked up either. I want to go too. And just be willing to say, you know what, I don't know everything, but I'm going to take somebody with me, and be willing to be bold enough to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something that you could share with the audience that maybe not a lot of people know about you? Is there some sort of fun fact or interest that maybe we wouldn't expect?
Um, let's see, a fun fact that you wouldn't expect. I have been inside of a hot air balloon before. I have been bungee jumping before. Um, I, um, here's one. I was, uh, I was the district spelling bee champion for about 3 years in a row when I was in elementary school, which means I had to go through the whole school. I had to go through the grade, then I had to go through the whole school, then I had to go through the district. And so that and these probably seem like brag posts. I just think people would probably look at me and be like, I don't know. I received a so I'm gonna tell this one too, right? I'm not trying to brag, but you ask things nobody might would know. So I received in as I was coming out of elementary school, so coming out of 5th grade into 6th grade, when I was in school, 6th grade was in middle school. I think it is now too. So when I was coming out of 5th grade, I basically received uh, what would be like the valedictorian for like the whole district or whatever, from 1st through 5th grade. So like the highest grades from 1st through 5th grade out of the schools in the district. I got a letter from George Bush, and still got it. It's actually over there in my safe. Got a letter and a pen from George Bush, like congratulating me. And so that, I think people probably look at me like, I don't know, yeah, things that people might not know. I think I mentioned it a minute ago, but I was gonna potentially go to school to be a surgeon. And and then people ask, what kind, and I was going to be a neurosurgeon. So I think, I don't know that people look at me and be like, oh, he's super smart, just my vibe probably doesn't give that off. I don't know. But so yeah, there's some things like that. So I played a lot of sports. I'm a sports guy. Never played baseball my entire life. So I think that's yeah, I don't know. I probably got some things that we could dig up. Trying to think through it here a little bit. I took 2 years of Spanish and I can only count to 10. I wish I could speak it now. I probably should have done a little bit better, but
Yeah, I feel the same way.
yeah. I don't know. I used to surf. I like to surf. Um, if somebody's got a wake boat that you could let some wake surfing happen, I can do that too, and I'd love to do that.
Do you got some pictures of your surfing days?
Probably somewhere, yeah. But I do have a picture on my phone of wake surfing, or a little video of me wake surfing. But there's probably a picture somewhere. When I was surfing, I wasn't like, you can't get the whole surfer look in your mind and say, oh, that was him. I was still kind of like I am now, As a matter of fact, when most people think surfing, they probably think, like a shredder board, like a 5.5, 6.5 foot board, the Kelly Slater type thing and all, cutting the waves, shredding the waves. That wasn't me because I was a bigger guy. I had to buy a longboard. I had to surf on a longboard. So, it's just kind of catching the wave and riding it. It's not able to do all this because I was too big. But yeah, there might be a couple of pictures somewhere. I've never been snow skiing in my life. It was all water and beach. I don't know. I traveled the country. My first job out of college, I coached high school football for a season. My first job out of college, more or less, I traveled the country for 2 years every week, with 5 other people in a van dragging a trailer, doing sub VO2 max cardiovascular stress testing on government officials. So I traveled the country doing that for 2 years. Yeah, I don't know. Used to have when I started getting kind of recruited to play football, I started collecting hats. And at one time, when I stopped collecting hats, I had like 376 hats. I stopped for a while and got rid of a lot, and then I kind of started back again with hats. And so yeah, I don't know.
Were you into like the Michelin Ness type, like big flat bills, or what kind of hats?
Yeah, so back in the day when there wasn't flat bill, everybody wore the curve bill hat. As a matter of fact, when I first started wearing hats religiously in middle school, we used to wear our hat like that right there. That's how we wore our hat. And then it turned into the whole pull it down, but the bill was curved, and the flat bill didn't really kick in till I was probably in my 30s, maybe, late 20s. But I do have kind of a preference on the type of hat, in a sense, the look of it. Like I'm this way with anything. I don't like busy stuff. I like simple, clean. I like simple, clean looks. So even though I never played baseball, Major League Baseball, their hats, because they're all one color and a logo.
Yep.
I was big with that. Um, uh, I don't know. I'm just a simple guy. I don't like print everywhere. I don't like 5 different colors. I like simple and clean. I do now. Y'all probably see me wear a little bit more flat bills than you do curved bills. I don't know why, but uh, that probably has a little bit to do with most of those major league hats now are more flat bill hats.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I guess I didn't think about that because, like, my era was all into, like, the snapbacks and the flat bills.
yeah,
And so I have a bunch, not anymore.
yeah.
And then Rebecca, my wife, when we got married, she's like, "You didn't actually wear these, did you?" It's like, "Yeah, I wore those." And it probably looks so bad because they're, like, huge and bulky. So I
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to wear my hats backwards a lot, but it was the fitted ones, you know. Um, so I wore more fitted hats than I did anything, I would say. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I it all started being college hats and then it just the collection just kept rolling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to cut hair. That's another one. Y'all didn't know that, did you?
Line them up.
I did. I used to cut hair. So when I was in high school, I cut guys on the football team, and then when I went to college, I cut guys on the football team and basketball team. I used to cut hair. Used to cut my own hair. Now, I mean, I had short hair, but I would, I do all the fades and stuff like that. So yeah, I used to cut hair.
That's good. Ironically, in college, I had a little trim set, and my roommate was super picky, like, because it's your hair. Like, you don't want
Yeah,
nobody to mess up your hair.
yeah.
And he wouldn't let anybody but his barber touch his hair and his beard. But he let me line his beard up. So this is a shout out to my college roommate. I trimmed him up one day, and then he let me do it continually. But then he came back to school after break, and he was like, "My barber was like roasting you because how you lined up my beard." It's like, who did this?
Well, I mean,
And
I kind of, I kind of see,
yeah.
Now, now I will say this: my senior year of high school, I don't know what I was thinking during football. I had a stupid haircut. Like, you ever look back and you just have a stupid haircut? I had a few
I
kid
look
pictures when I was a kid. I had a few kid pictures where, um, I was raised by a single father, and so fathers probably aren't that well known for their hairstyles. I do have a few kid pictures where my hair was jacked up in the school picture.
Mm.
But then once I got to about what 5th grade when I started cutting my hair shorter, and it's pretty much been that way since then. You asked about surfing a little bit ago. I'll try to find a picture at some point if y'all haven't seen it. I actually have a couple of pictures from where I grew my hair out twice in my life long, like when I was in my early and then my late 20s. I grew my hair out pretty long. And it's really, if you've seen my son Braylon that has the curly red hair, his is a little more tight curls than mine, but my hair's curly. If it's kind of wavy curly, if it grows out. So I did have some, curly hair everywhere, and there was one time that I kind of did have a little bit of that surfer look. I had the curls hanging down. Um, I will say this: I tell on myself again too. In my college days at Troy, um, I blonde tipped my hair a little bit.
Okay.
Also, if you guys remember, now I'm talking. This is for a certain crew here. If you guys remember Cisco from Drew Hill, and you had the silver hair, so I actually I did the whole like white out, like the whole bleach out thing or whatever, where I don't even remember but it's got that purple stuff you paint all over it. You
Yeah.
let it sit and dry, and then it yellows your hair, dyes your hair out, bleaches it out. I did that, and it was a short haircut though, but I did that for a little while too.
Mm.
So yeah, I was, but I started out by saying my high school haircut, my high school senior year of football.
Oh.
I don't know see, I'm trying to laugh at myself. I don't know what I was thinking, but I look back now, and I had a bowl cut, but it wasn't like, the bowl cut from, where, I don't know, like a mushroom head in a sense, but I don't even know. I would shave my head like with a razor, straight razor, like now, like I am now, like clean shave from like here down. And then I had hair. So it's kind of like, what's his name? Was it like Mo from the Three Stooges?
Yeah.
Kind of like that, shorter because his hair was long, and my hair was short. But I look back now and I'm like, I'm thankful that my football picture from my senior year, I had not done that yet. I still had the high and tight, but I don't know what for several games throughout that year. I don't know.
Man,
I look back now, I watch some videos, I see a video, and it was bad.
I have those moments when I look back at those pictures and times in my life. I'm like, I just wish I had somebody there to tell me,
Nope.
like, how awful that looked.
Yeah.
Like, it looked terrible.
I don't know. And I would have a friend helping me do it. He would help out. Hey, I'm like, what? Where you at now, bro? I wore hats all the time. So outside of school, I wore hats all the time. But I don't know. I don't even know if maybe that's why I ain't having many girlfriends or something. They might have looked at that haircut and be like, something's wrong with him.
Thank you guys for jumping on today and giving us your time. We very much value that and appreciate it. We pray that this time bless you. And we want to remind you, if you want to dive into what that emptied life looks like, Pastor Jason just wrote a book about this called Inner Empty. This is going to be in our show notes. It's going to be on our social medias. So please, I encourage you guys to check that out. If you like what you hear and if you want to hear some more, you can find us on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble. And again, we have links on all of our social media. Stay up to date with us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We've got it all. YouTube. There's many ways to engage with us. So please check that out before you go. Pastor Jason, can you go ahead and give us an outro for this episode?
Yeah, I just am so thankful to have the opportunity to be in your homes, in your vehicles, on your phones, and just have a chance to share. It's an honor. It's very humbling to be able to share my life with you and for you to open up your heart to me. And so I'm really thankful for that. I really encourage you to, I've been, when people have asked me to sign the book, one of the things I've just really felt led to put in every one of the books that I've signed is to prepare for him. And so I just want to encourage you. I'm going to sign off by saying prepare for him. And the way you prepare for him is with an empty life.
Perfect. All right.
Good deal.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you.